This is the Jagdpanzer Marder I from Tamiya in 1/35 scale, and I'm going to show you how I built it. So here it is, the Jagdpanzer Marder I SD KFZ 135 in 1/35 scale. Does come with two figures, but I don't do figures because I can never get the skin tone right. When I do it, it ends up looking like Peppa Pig. So here it is. This is the box, side of the box. There's some bump there in Japanese, and you've got the unit unknown Eastern Front, which has got that snow effect. So it's flat white and German grey, so LP27 or LP4. And then edge of the box, you've got the same. And then the side of the box, this is the scheme I'm going to try and go for, which is the Infantry Division, France, 1942 to 1943. Whoops, 1942 to 1943. And again, LP27 is what I'm using on this bad boy. And again, you've got that there. So opening the box, as I say, very quick look inside before I start building. You'll be getting 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 sprues. A decal sheet, which is very nice. Let's just open it up and have a look. There you go. Nice, crisp decal sheet with 3 schemes on them. So you get 3 schemes of this, by the way. Okay, there's the call-outs there, which give you some information about this tank. There you are. You know, sorry it's a bit glossy. I'll try and do it so you can't lose the detail there because of the light. So again, 3 schemes and some pictures for some reference photos, which is a nice addition. Very nice. And then it tells you here the parts. There you are. And it does, and this is actually let's have a look. Where it tells you here what it is on the Lorraine chassis. So this is a Lorraine chassis, allegedly, and they basically put a packed 40 gun in there and covered it in armor. So there you are, a little bit of information there. So these are the instructions for this tank. We'll just have a little look and just quickly look. There you are. You're basically building up the lower hull, 1 and 2, and then you are sorting out the front cover, then attaching the suspension, attaching the towing hook on the back. Then you are doing the sprockets, then the bogies, left and right, so right then left, sorry, attaching them, okay, to the hull. Then doing the tracks, okay. And then you're attaching the upper hull and adding the bits for the shell holder. Front panel engine cover. Then attaching that to the base. Putting on the side panels. The exhaust, attaching the exhaust. Then adding the spare tracks on the front there and a tool. Doing the right armor plate, which is the radio. Okay, that attaches to the right armor plate. Then the left armor plate, attaching these parts as well. Then you're doing the shells. Attaching the armor plates, left and right, and then the rear. Adding that box there, and adding bits on the back. Then you're attaching the step. Attaching the jack on the front. Then you're attaching all the accessories like the light. I'm not too sure what that is. So if anybody knows what that is, let me know in the comments. Then the travel lock, the gun travel lock goes on. Then you're building up the cradle and then attaching the cradle. Then there you got the breech. Then the gun barrel, building all that up. You got 2 parts of that. Then attaching the gun to the cradle. Then you've got the gun shield and the armor on the front. Then you're attaching the gun to the base, and that all then attaches to the hull. And then you've got call-outs there for building the figures, which I won't be doing. And then you've got some information there on the back. So there are the instructions. There you are. This is sprue A, and you get 2 of these. So you've got your bogies, you've got your sprocket, you've got your road wheels, you've got some track, and you've got single track links, and you've got some numerous track links there. You've got covers there. So all this here, you've got some suspension parts there as well. And there's the bogies, and there's your springs to go in, which is a nice one. So there you go. There's the two A sprues. Okay, this is sprue B, which is your upper hull, your belly of your lower hull, exhaust cover, your side panels, and the sides of the hull itself, where you will attach it to this and add the suspension. And you've got some parts here for the armor outside. So there you go. There is frame B. Frame C, again, you've got your armor panels left and right, engine cover there, front panel. This is where your shells will go. There's the front of the hull. There's your gun shield. Again, more shell. That's your shell holder there, and pretty much all done. And there's the track, the spare track that goes on the front of the Marder there, and there's your radio together. And yeah, that's basically frame C. And this is frame D, which has your bogies on and your suspension. You can see you've got leaf springs there, because they have leaf springs on this one. There's your figure in parts there. You've got two figures, so two faces, two hats, 4 arms, 4 legs, 2 bodies. And there's your pack for gun. So there's the cradle, and you've got all the accessories here that you will attach to the tank. And it's a two-piece barrel with the muzzle brake in 2 halves, which I do always like about this with Tamiya. They do think outside the box sometimes. But yeah, there's basically all the parts there for building this Marder 1. Lovely, lovely. Alright then, let's move on to the build. So here we are. I've put the lower hull bits together. There was 3 pieces to put in, noting the direction, and then I started on putting the walls of the hull together, and then adding all the suspension parts. I've attached the tow hooks as well on the front and the back of this tank, and then started building up the bogies. And there's little springs to go in the bogies. As you can see, they're quite tiny, but they do fit. And then I added the little wheels as well, the little track wheels, I think they're called. Then detach the bogies from the sprue, because you attach the wheels to them, and then you attach it together. And then that will be one side done for this tank. Here I am just making sure that the wheels freely move, but then I realised I didn't have to worry about that, because when the tracks are attached, they won't move anyway. I think it's just one of those things that, you know, being somebody who's done rubber band tracks a lot with tanks, I tend to always do that process. So now they're all aligned up, I'm now gluing everything into position and making sure that it's all just snapped together nicely. Adding some glue to it and then clamping it together. And then we start with the tracks. Now the tracks work very, very simple. Just take your time, work out where they got to be positioned, and then just dab little bits of cement in the position, and it will all fit together nicely. the instructions are very clear, so just take your time, like I said, and they will all go together lovely. And very little cleanup, to be fair, on these tracks. And then I place a weight onto the hull just to wait for the cement to dry. Now it's time to remove the upper hull from the sprue gate. And then these are holes for the shells, and you glue it into position, and there is a metal rod that's got to go in between the holes, and you'll see that it is a little bit tricky to get in, but once it's in position, just add a couple of dashes of glue and it will just set lovely. Now it's time to do a little bit of priming, and I always black base my models because I like to use the black as the darkness, and then I blend in the grey later to give it a little bit of depth. But here I am, I'm spraying up the tracks first, then moving on to the wheels, and then ultimately I will then go on the inside of the hull and give that all a good black coat of primer. Just jumping in quickly to ask a bit of a favour. If you like the content on this channel but are not yet a subscriber, will you do me a favour, please? Just click subscribe or ring that bell, click all, and you will be notified when I release a new video, and you will become a subscriber. It really does help the channel, and if you're liking this video in particular, give us a like as well. Right, let's get back to the build. So here I am attaching the upper hull plate now with the cement. Just making sure it's all lined up. It does fit snug like a glove. It's really, really nice. And then it's time to attach the engine cover and the front panels. So the front panel goes on, and you can see it just sits in, and then the engine cover goes on top. And then grab yourself a little bit of cement and then just glue it together. And that's the top part of the hull done for this part anyway. Right, now that's all dried, I get out my airbrush and I grab a tin or a glass bottle of LP27, which is German grey, and now I'm spraying up this grey over the tank just so that I could blend in from the primer to the grey to give it some sort of depth. And you know, just gently blend in, just trying to get a little bit of darkness and a little bit of light in that tank. And I go over the whole body where I'm not going to be working on, because this is how I kind of do my spraying. I try to do bits and pieces so that I know that once that area is done, I don't have to touch it again. I also do the armour at this point, all the internals. I've sprayed them black with the primer and then just gone over with the German grey. Then I put on the side panels using the cement to keep them in position as well, and they kind of just click in. It was really nice to put them on, no issues whatsoever. Anyways, right, onto the exhaust now, and it's a couple of parts, just gluing them together. And then using my technique of dry brushing Humbrol rust powder over it, just to give the exhaust a rusty look and texture, because you won't see this really once you put the exhaust cover on top. Well, there's the radio. There's about 4 or 5 pieces to that, which I've attached to the inside of the armour there. And then you put these supports in, and then you can attach that side of, or the right armour plate goes on, and it goes on really nicely. It just clicks in, and then a little bit of cement, and just wiggle it about to get it into position, and again a little bit of cement in the groove there, and it all attaches lovely. Fits like a glove. And then you attach the left armour plate as well. Just adding this box to the rear part of the armour plate, and again just wiggle it in, push it together, almost snaps together, and then in the gaps there just run a small amount of cement and then leave that to dry. And I didn't even use masking tape to hold it together, it just held itself together. Once the cement was in, you just leave it alone. It was very, very nice. Right, out again with the airbrush, and then I'm just spraying in bits that I've missed or have appeared because I've attached more parts, and again it's just a case of covering up the beige plastic. So attaching the step, and this is in 2 parts, and it does have this bar that comes out from underneath and attaches to the ladder. A little bit fiddly to get in, but again, if you put a dab of cement on the bottom of the step, and that kind of like draws the part into the step itself, and then adjust it to make sure it's square, and it's almost done then on the back. Here I am attaching the jack to the front. Again, just find where the grooves are, place it in position, and then just a couple of dollops of cement to hold it into position. Here we are attaching the gun travel lock. Now this is the only bit that had a bit of flash in it, which I didn't notice when I started building, so I had to remove the excess flash using a knife, and then the bracket goes on lovely, and then you attach the travel lock on top. There is a torsion bar to go in from the plate to the top. Again, just a couple of dollops of cement in there and it will go in lovely. As again, just keep your eye on this when you put it all together. So now we're going to prime it all over in black. So you can see me there with the Mr. Surfacer Black. I think it's 1000, which I'll thin down 50-50. Here we are now with the LP27 going over the black, and I am somebody who just like blends in as much as possible, keeping the dark where it needs to be dark and then shading and getting deeper with the grey. So it's more of a gradual process that I'm building up layers. I think the pressure's down to about 14 psi, maybe even 12 psi, and I'm just doing it in blotches and then just filling in around those blotches. You can do this using a white, put the black down, then add highlights with white, but I wanted to give this a real rich grey, and because I'm going to be weathering it with a lot of light dust, and once you put all that together it will look good. Now building up the actual gun, the Pack 40, Loads of little bits in this, but take your time. Not much cleanup needed either, and it just all, you know, slots together. Good locating pinpoints, and very much, what can I say? An entertaining build. It was entertaining to build this. I spent a while on it. As I said, it just goes together. Follow the instructions. Make sure you push the gun itself as far forward as you can, and then add some drops of cement to keep it all together. You can see the front armor plate there has already been sprayed with the grey, and then this is where I will be attaching the gun itself. And there it is, all attached. And that's just a few drops of cement in 5 places, and that will then attach it to that front, and then I give it a good coat of LP27 again, and this time, because I'm going to be weathering it with panel line and little bits of dust powders, I don't really prime this at all. The paint just goes straight on. Now just gluing the base for the Pak 40 gun, a little bit of cement, and then I attach the gun to that, ready to prep it to go inside the tank itself. And I dry fit it at first. I want to make sure it all goes together well, and again, once it's glued in, I spray up that base and just give it a bit of a grey look to it. And then it's onto the shells, which I am spraying in gold. Now you may think, oh, it's a bit bright, but there's a reason for that, because it will be covered in some sort of powder and the panel line. And then I grabbed the AK paint pens with a black and just gently painted the tips black as per the instructions. I cannot praise these pens for just of ease. You pick one out, take off the lid, and just paint away. They are fantastic, and they dry relatively quick. Once all that paint's dried, I'll remove them from the sprues and then put them into the shell holders inside the tank there. So then, with everything all put on the tank, it's time to put the decals on. So again, easy enough, Tamiya decals. Rub them in with the tip there to make sure they go down flat, and basically all the decals are done. And I've not glued the gun into position, I've just left it loose, just because I can. But here we are, the gun's all in position, it looks great, and now I think we need to get on with some weathering. And if you know what I'm going to be doing, it is of course panel line wash first in all the recess lines, panel lines, on top of all the rivets there. Just give it a bit of a coat of the black wash. And by the way, this pen from Display is a cracking addition. Just hold it into position and let the liquid flow into all the grooves. It's one of my favourite tools I bought last year. Once that's all dried, I then get out the Humbrol dust and I start brushing it very thickly all over the wheels, the tracks, the armour, the panels, and just give it a really, really big coat of this dust. And there's a reason why, because I fix it using hairspray, it will lose a lot of this, because once the hairspray goes on, it gives it a bit of a matte look and a texture, and once that's dried, I then go over it with a brush and start blending, and you can actually blend the dust and really push it into the panels. It's a lovely effect, and I'm using it more and more on my builds, especially on tanks and the vehicles that I have been doing for the past 18 months. Just going in with a little brush this time into all those nooks and crannies where dust will actually end up, and there it is. It's just been sprayed with hairspray, and you can see it proper dulls the effect. And then as it's still a bit wet there, I start blending in with that brush, and it kind of takes some of it off, but also leaves it you know, a really good like crusty look. That's what I was looking for, a crusty look of dust all over this Marder I. And it's just a case of just brushing it across. If you need to add a little bit more, don't be afraid to not add any. Just keep adding more and more. As you can see, you get a really, really good effect. And one final thing, I had a friend print me this 3D base, which I've just sprayed black, and went over it a couple of times with the paint. Again, it's only primer. I'm only using primer on this because I want as much of the detail to stay, and then just build up the layers again using the airbrush. And I attach the tank to it with super glue. And there you are. That is my build of this tank. I hope you enjoyed it. I know it's a brief build. I've not got into too much detail with it, but I will leave you with some pictures of this tank on its base. What a lovely build. What a model. It's cracking. 2020 Tamiya. What can go wrong? Linking length tracks, beautiful. The barrel, the way it's put together, lovely. Great instructions, great decals, fantastic. There's a discrepancy, or shall I say a little bit of, I don't know, debate on whether the tracks are right or wrong. So my good friend Panzer, I showed him my build, and he said to me, you know, the tracks are on backwards. Now, apparently, this is what happened. Tamiya went to the museum, asked them to have a look at this Marder I, and allegedly, they had to put the tracks on quickly, but put them on backwards. And they told Tamiya this, but they designed them with the tracks looking backwards. So, are they on backwards? Yes, but Panzer did some research, and when the tracks were based on the Lorraine, which is what this tank buster was built on, because as you know, the Germans retrofitted French armour for their own use, that the tracks were the other way around. But then apparently the Germans switched them so they went backwards. That's what I've been told. You can see. If I find some pictures, I'll put them on screen now, the difference. But allegedly, there's been talk that the tracks are wrong, or put on wrong, or designed backwards, where they can either be on one way or another. It doesn't matter. The French have them one way, and allegedly the Germans are putting them on the opposite way. So make of that what you will. Build it. You have to build it the way Tamiya intended. I've had a good look. You may be able to manipulate the track so that they will go on with the diamond point or the triangle pointing down, not up. But just build it as Tamiya intended. And let's leave the debate well alone. I've loved it. Jagdlam have them for sale, $29.99 with free carriage. So if you want to buy one, I'll leave a link in the description box below. And again, thank you for watching. If you like this video, please give it a like. If you haven't subscribed yet, please subscribe. It's completely free. Big shout out to my channel members who help me financially with this channel. If you want to become a channel member, click join below. Also, in one of the four corners is a video or a playlist of other content on my channel you may like. Hopefully, I'll see you over there.